film industry has been trying to take fun out of movies since at least 2016, while at the same time pushing an agenda and shoving it down our throats non-stop. That's why I'm happy to inform you that The Suicide Squad is the complete opposite of that. Film starts out with Savant, who's played by Michael Rooker in an outdoor cell by himself with a rubber bouncy ball. A little bird lands inside, and Savant throws the ball at it, killing the bird. Amanda Waller walks in and prepares him for a mission with the Suicide Squad. She quickly explains the concept. If they complete the mission, they get 10 years off their sentence. If anyone fails to follow orders, she'll detonate an explosive that was injected into their skull. And they're a Black Ops unit, so none of this ever happened. Wink wink. Rick Flag shakes his hand and takes him to meet the squad, which consists of Savant, Rick Flag, Captain Boomerang, Javelin, Blackguard, Weasel, TDK, Mangal, and of course, Harley Quinn. They go to the helicopter where they banter back and forth, and Harley flirts with Javelin. They fly to the South American island Corto Maltese. When they arrive, everyone jumps out of the helicopter, but Weasel can't swim and seemingly drowns. They all get into position when Blackguard walks into the open and starts yelling to the guards, since apparently he tried to betray them, revealing their position. His face is blown off by a guard, and they fight. TDK uses his detachable arms and slaps some guards, distracting them. Mangal jumps onto the enemy helicopter, causing it to go out of control. The blades chopped up some trees and a bunch of pieces impaled Captain Boomerang. The helicopter crashes, killing Mangal and Captain Boomerang. Javelin gets shot multiple times and TDK's arms get shot up. Savant starts screaming and swims away. Since he didn't follow orders, Waller detonates the explosive, blowing his head up. We find out there's a Team 2 consisting of Bloodsport, Peacemaker, Ratcatcher 2, Polka Dot Man, and King Shark. They have just arrived on the other side of the island. We go to 3 days earlier where Bloodsport is cleaning the prison. Waller walks in, and Bloodsport tells her that he won't join the Suicide Squad. Waller responds by saying, "We'll see, and you have a visitor." He goes to meet his visitor, and it's his daughter. She tells him she stole a style watch. I don't know if that's the name of the product, or another word for smartwatch. I've never heard the term before. They argue and keep saying, "Fuck you," back and forth.
Fuck you! No, fuck you! Fuck you! Fuck you! Fuck you!
She eventually says Miss Waller told her that he could help her out, and her court date is coming up. Cut to Bloodsport yelling at Waller. He says she could use a year in juvie. Waller responds by saying that she could be charged as an adult in Louisiana, since she's 16 and could be sent to the same prison. She says, in here, well, you never know what could happen to a frail young thing like that. And, shames me to say, we have the highest mortality rate in the entire US prison system. This sets him off. He grabs a pen and holds it to her neck. The guards pull out their guns and point them at him, but she tells them to stand down. She tells Bloodsport, "I wouldn't take such extreme measures if this mission weren't more important than you could possibly imagine." She says that he has the military experience necessary and everything in his psychological profile to be a leader. He yells that he isn't one, and she responds with, "Then I'll make you one." He agrees to do it. Next we meet his team. She debriefs them and tells him there's a military coup and General Sergio Luna, along with Mayor General Mateo Suarez, killed the Herrera family, who ruled Corto Maltese, and Sergio Luna took over. She tells them about a building named Jotunheim, which contains something called Project Starfish, that is extraterrestrial in origin, and in the hands of Luna is potentially cataclysmic to the world. Their mission is to infiltrate Jotunheim and destroy every trace of Project Starfish. They have to get the Thinker, a geneticist, who's in charge of Project Starfish, to help them get in by finding him at a gentleman's club he hangs out at after work. We cut back to present day with Team 2 at the shore. Side note, they use different objects, such as leaves and other things, to spell out words as part of transitions, like some of the Marvel movies do with big white text. I thought that was a cool touch. But back to the review. Next, the dick joke from the trailer happens.
I've decided that you should eat a big bag of dicks. How's that?
You're being facetious. But if this whole beach was completely covered in dicks, and somebody said I'd eat every dick until the beach was clean for liberty, I would say no problemo.
And Bloodsport and Peacemaker argue about their motives for killing. Cut to Harley dodging bullets and explosions. She falls and lands next to Javelin, and he says that she's the only one fit to carry his javelin, and this happens.
Carry it for.
Carry it for who? For what? What the heck? Who am I supposed to carry it for?
She yells at his dead body because he didn't finish his sentence. Guards surround her and she continues to complain. It was this type of comedy from Harley and others that made the movie work, as well as other stuff, but if the jokes didn't hit, then it would have significantly hurt the movie. The javelin is a big part of this movie, by the way, and it works really well. Next, we see Rick Flag running away, and another group surrounds him. Team 2 finds a place to camp and goes to sleep. Bloodsport wakes up and sees Polka Dot Man throwing up polka dots. Ratcatcher 2's rat, Sebastian, which by the way is really cute, and actually kind of plays a role in parts of the movie. He squeaks at Bloodsport and points to King Shark, who's about to eat Ratcatcher 2, since he likes eating people. Kinda like Venom if you saw that movie. She's a really deep sleeper, so she was still asleep. Bloodsport shoots King Shark and he drops Ratcatcher 2, and she wakes up. King Shark charges at Bloodsport, and he keeps shooting him until King Shark falls to the ground. Ratcatcher 2 finds out what happened and summons rats with her rat controlling wand thing. Now we find out Bloodsport is scared of rats and Peacemaker is in his underwear. Sebastian tries offering Bloodsport a leaf to show he's friendly, and Bloodsport tells him to get the rats out of there, and she complies. This was one of the funniest parts of the movie. It shows off the banter the team has with each other, and it just works. I think it has to do with how well they cast the characters. I know that may sound obvious, but if those were different people, it may not have worked throughout the movie. They debate killing King Shark, and Ratcatcher 2 asked him if he would eat his friends. He says he has no friends, but she asked him if he did, would he eat them, and he says no. She asks if they can be his friends, and they shake on it. One of Waller's team members locates Rick Flag on the island. She tells them to rescue him and to terminate his captors with extreme prejudice. So they head to his location. When they arrive, they kill everyone, but when they do, Bloodsport and Peacemaker have a competition to see who's better. It was a funny way to showcase the dynamic between the two. One of the guys they killed opened a curtain and had no pants on, so we just get to see a random dick. Polka Dot Man took down a tower with guards in it and says this.
I don't like to kill people, but if I pretend they're my mom, it's easy.
After they kill everyone, they find the tent Rick Flag is in, and they see him hanging out with the leader of the freedom fighters, Sol Soria, who is trying to take down the government. She asks why her people didn't alert her of their arrival, and this happens.
We didn't see any people.
I didn't see anybody on the way to
There's
this.
no one out there.
Weren't gone when he lost
I
you.
turned them into my mother in my head and killed them.
King Shark also copped up a dick from one of the people he ate, but I can't show that. Rick Flag is able to reason with her and get the freedom fighters, or at least what's left of them's help. I do question if she would actually agree to help them in real life if that happened. They have similar interests, but I don't know what I'd do in that situation. They'd probably need to compensate them financially, but now that I think about it, if the stakes were that high, then I'd probably do it with compensation. Cut to the Thinker being brought to a room with Luna and Suarez waiting and watching old footage of Project Starfish being discovered. It's literally an alien starfish with an eye, but you knew that if you watched the trailers. He explains what it does. It produces extensions of itself and takes over people's bodies and controls them. The Americans discovered it in space, by the way. They go to Jotunheim to see it. Suarez says they should use it to destroy the US, but Luna says that with such a dangerous weapon, the world would take them seriously. The Thinker says that he's been working with it for 30 years, and he's the only one who can control it. So Luna lets him join the team. Harley's tied up in a deep hole that she can't get out of. A guard drops a dress down the hole and tells her to put it on. Cut to her in a limo with women putting makeup on her. They arrive at Luna's palace. She sees him come out of the hot tub and falls in love. He tells her that she's a hero to him and his people because she rebels against America in the face of oppression. Next, there's a montage of them together throughout the day. He proposes, she says yes, and they make out, breaking stuff around the room, and the camera cuts away. After they're done, they talk about Jotunheim, and Luna states that if anyone says anything negative about him, anyone they ever loved will be sent to Jotunheim to feed the beast. Harley shoots him and says that if she found a new boyfriend she saw any red flag, she would murder him. Luna dies and guards surround her. Suarez is now president. This part was fine, but it didn't need to be in the movie at all. They could have just cut it out. We go back to Team 2 walking. Polka Dot Man's face is breaking out with polka dots again. This happened to him before as well. Peacemaker asks him what it is. Polka Dot Man responds by saying that it's an interdimensional disease. His mom was a scientist at Star Labs, and was obsessed with trying to turn him and his siblings into superheroes. If he doesn't expel the dots twice a day, then they'll eat him alive. He says some of his siblings lived and some died. Ratcatcher 2 asks where his mother is, and he responds with,
Everywhere.
I absolutely love this moment. When I first saw Polka Dot Man in the trailer, I didn't think I was going to like him. They found a way to make him entertaining. They continue walking, cut to a guy driving a bus to a checkpoint. A guard asks for his clearance papers, and he stalls. The Suicide Squad kills the guards, and we find out the driver is Soul's contact, Milton. They pack the bus, put on disguises, and go to the gentleman's club the Thinker hangs out in, and Soul heads to the palace. While they're on the bus, Ratcatcher 2 tells Bloodsport her backstory. She was homeless with her dad, Ratcatcher 1, who's played by Taika Waititi, by the way, because of his burdens. He built the rat-controlling wand thing she uses and taught her how to control the rats. They brought them trinkets to live on and kept them warm at night. One day his burdens became too heavy to carry, and he died. She came to America with her father's inventions, but was arrested for armed bank robbery. Bloodsport says she reminds him of his daughter. Then she asks again why he's afraid of rats, since that's what started this conversation. He says his father would punish him if he didn't do a task right, and one time he locked him in a crate for 24 hours with starving rats. This moment from the trailer happens.
I'm gonna get you out of here alive.
I'm going to get you out of here alive.
This conversation impacts pretty much the rest of the movie. It's not just a great moment in my opinion, but it sets up the father-daughter type relationship they have and certain events coming up. They arrive at the club and we see a random topless, maybe completely naked woman on the balcony, just subtly put there. Peacemaker orders drinks for everybody, and when she brings them over, he tells her that she forgot the rat. We then see Sebastian drinking. There's a little montage of them having fun and dancing, and they cut to King Shark just sitting there in the back of the bus doing nothing. Poor King Shark. The Thinker arrives. The authorities then arrive in search of them. Bloodsport walks up to the Thinker, puts a gun to his back, and tells him he's going to take them to Jotunheim. Bloodsport takes him and tries to leave, but the authorities barge in. Bloodsport tells Ratcatcher 2 and Polka Dot Man to take him out through the back and they'll meet in a half an hour. Bloodsport and Rick Flag give themselves up and the authorities take them in a police van as well as Peacemaker. Ratcatcher 2 and Polka Dot Man open the door to the back and we see a topless woman again. That's all the nudity I saw, but it wasn't really necessary in this. It was just there to reinforce the R rating. They go outside and Milton is there waiting for them. The Thinker antagonizes them and this happens.
Do you want a dozen hungry rodents crawling up your ass?
My handsome man will be what you expect.
Cut to the others in the back of the van. One of the guards reveals that Harley is alive. They kill the guards in the back with them and the guys in the front. They crash. The others then pull up to the crashed car because they were tracking their coordinates. The camera focuses on the back doors of the flipped car that's on fire. The doors open and the guys walk out. Cut to Harley, who's chained up and is being interrogated with a taser/baton. She's tased until they think she's unconscious and she won't talk. Suicide Squad pulls up in a van and prepare for the mission. Suarez tells the guy with the taser to wait until she's conscious, because he wants to cut off her fingers to get her to talk, and leaves. The taser guy is left alone with Harley. When he turns his back and goes on his phone, Harley opens her eyes after faking being unconscious and takes him out. She takes boots and a gun and proceeds to take everyone out like a badass. She is overpowered in this, which is one of my problems with the movie, but that scene was pretty cool regardless. In the process of killing everyone, she finds the javelin on the wall and takes it. She walks out the door and gets in a taxi that was driving by. Right before they leave, she sees Bloodsport and Rick Flag sneaking around. She gets out, and as Rick Flag counts down from 3 to start the mission, Harley comes up behind him, and this scene from the trailer happens.
What are you guys doing?
We're here to save you.
You were gonna save me?
It was a really good plan, too.
Well, I can go back inside and you can still do it.
I know some people thought that that might be a little woke or intersectional when they saw that, but in context it was fine. Next, this scene from the trailer happens.
We fail the mission, you die.
If we find out any information you give us is false, you die.
If we find out you have personalized license plates, you die.
And they go over the plan. The Thinker drives the bus and they get through the checkpoint. They kill the guards in front of Jotunheim, use the Thinker's eye to unlock the door. Peacemaker smashes the device, and they go inside. More guards arrive, and they have the Thinker close a metal or steel barricade door to barricade it. They start to plant bombs that they need to set on every floor. Cut to the guards leaving the palace, and Soul waiting with the rest of the freedom fighters. Once the guards leave, they go inside. Ratcatcher 2, Rick Flag, and the Thinker go down to the lowest level in the elevator to Project Starfish. There's a bunch of people locked up with starfish on their faces. The starfish is talking to them through the people. Ratcatcher 2 walks backwards while she looks around, and a giant starfish leg hits the glass behind her. The Thinker says he calls it Starro, the Conqueror. She wants to help the people being controlled, but the Thinker tells her they're corpses below those stars. He reveals that the Americans wanted to use Starro as a weapon and made a secret deal with the Corto Maltese to experiment there and hired him. Now, because of the military coup, they want to destroy it. Peacemaker joins them, even though he's supposed to be planting bombs, because he says he didn't trust him. Rick Flag grabs the hard drive and says he wants to show the people, but Peacemaker points his gun at him. He says that he was tasked with not letting those records leave the building by Waller. The bombs go off early, and the ceiling collapses. The glass is broken, Starro catches the Thinker. Ratcatcher 2 and Sebastian run, but the exit is blocked. Starro is pushing their way through towards Ratcatcher 2, but Sebastian finds a hole in the rubble and they crawl through. Starro kills the Thinker after he begs for his life. Rick Flag and Peacemaker wake up and fight for the drive. Rick Flag is able to get on top of Peacemaker and choke him with a pipe, but Peacemaker grabs a piece of debris and stabs Rick Flag in the heart. He calls Peacemaker's name a joke and dies.
Peacemaker. What a joke.
Peacemaker looks in front of him and sees Ratcatcher 2 staring at him. She takes the drive that was just sitting in front of her and runs. Peacemaker grabs his gun and chases her. He probably could have shot her, but for the sake of the plot, he didn't. She goes upstairs through a door, but she has nowhere to go. Peacemaker knocks her on the ground and points his gun at her. Cut to 8 minutes earlier with the others. They're planting bombs, while Suarez shouts orders at his men outside. King Shark goes up the stairs and sees a leech in the big aquarium. He walks toward it, and other leech things come out and come together in the shape of him. He jumps, and they do it again, and it happens one more time. Then this happens.
New dumb friends.
Cut to the others. Polka Dot Man's bag breaks, and his supplies fall out. When he goes to pick them up, guards shoot at them and kill Milton, who was just there with them the whole time for some reason, even though he has no powers. This happens.
They killed Milton! Milton was still with us? Where did you think he was? I don't know. I thought he stayed back with the bus. What was Milton gonna do? He was helping us.
Who's Milton?
This goes on for a minute, with Harley arguing there wasn't even a Milton with them, until she sees his body. It might be the funniest part of the movie. More guards show up and Polka Dot Man fires his polka dots at them and accidentally sets off the explosives. While the building is collapsing, the glass on the aquarium breaks and floods the floor. The leech things latch onto King Shark and sucks his blood. They try to pull them off of him, but he falls to the ground. The guards shoot him, but he wakes up and he's still alive. Suarez notices Bloodsport is hanging from a building and tells them to shoot. Harley pulls him up. When the guards shooting King Shark have to reload, he gets up, rips one of their heads off, and the rest run away. As the top of the building is falling off, the other three run the opposite direction. Harley and Polka Dot Man jump to safety, but Bloodsport couldn't jump since the floor collapsed under him and the piece he landed on collapsed as well. He fires his grapple hook, but it comes loose and he falls through multiple floors until he stops at the ground floor where Peacemaker is about to kill Ratcatcher 2. They both shoot at each other at the same time, but Bloodsport's bullet was smaller. His bullet goes through Peacemaker's and seemingly kills him. This was a callback to when the two of them first met. When Waller told Bloodsport what Peacemaker does, he points out that they do the same thing. The two of them go back and forth, and Peacemaker tells him that his bullets do what Bloodsport's just did. If you paid attention to what I said earlier about Bloodsport and Ratcatcher 2, then you probably could have seen this coming. I know I did, but this still was a pretty good moment. She tells him about Rick Flag and the hard drive, and he puts it in his gauntlet. The others make their way down and meet up with them. Starro is finally able to break free, and the boss battle begins. The army fires at Starro, and it lets out the smaller starfish. They start to take over the army's bodies, and one comes for Ratcatcher 2. She puts on a mask she had, and tells the others to cover their faces. The whole army is taken down, including Suarez. Cut to the inside palace. Soul and the Freedom Fighters kill the officials in the office and take over the government. Starro takes control of the army, and they get up. He speaks through Suarez and says,
"This city is mine."
Starro starts to destroy the city and take over other bodies. Waller tells them Starro isn't their problem. Bloodsport tells them, "You heard what she said," and starts to walk away. The others follow. All of a sudden, he stops and does this. The alarm goes off at the headquarters because Bloodsport is off mission. Ratcatcher 2 follows, and Waller tells them to turn back. King Shark also follows. Then Harley says she finally knows what she's carrying the javelin for, and follows. Then Polka Dot Man follows. Waller keeps yelling at them to turn around, and tells one of her people to open the case with the buttons to blow their heads off. She freaks out at them.
You dumb pieces of shit! Motherfucker! God damn it! Cosmos X! This is your last motherfucking warning!
As she's about to hit the button on Bloodsport, one of her people hits her over the head with a golf club she was using earlier and knocks her out. Mind you of something? Bloodsport tries to shoot it with bigger bullets, but it doesn't work. An army of people controlled by Starro starts walking toward them. Bloodsport tells Harley to take the high ground. She does. He tells King Shark, "Monster is Nom Nom," and he jumps on Starro and starts eating him. He tells Polka Dot Man this.
Pablo! You see who that is? Huh? It's your mom!
And he fires his polka dots at one of his legs, and this happens.
I'm a superhero! I'm a motherfucking super...
And he dies. Starro pulls King Shark off him and throws him into a building, causing the top half of it to collapse, destroying the buildings underneath and causing Harley to fall. The army of people surround Bloodsport, and he starts shooting them. He loses his guns and pulls out a sword and continues. The sword is taken and he uses a flamethrower. He's being held by some of the people, and Ratcatcher 2 gets on top of a car and tries to use her rat controlling wand thing. Bloodsport sees her and shakes the people off of him and gets to her as Starro tries to hit her with his leg and saves her. The people surround them, and Starro, through one of them, says,
This city is mine!
Ratcatcher 2 says,
This city isn't yours.
This city isn't ours. This city is theirs.
And holds up the rat controlling wand thing. Bloodsport realizes what's about to happen and says,
Oh, hell.
a ton of rats come out and trample the people. They climb up and cover Starro. Harley climbs out of the rubble. This was another problem that I had with the movie. Every time Harley was in any sort of danger, I just knew she would be fine. This eventually happened with King Shark 2, as you'll see in a minute. We get a shot of Sebastian leading the rats up Starro. Ratcatcher 2 gets emotional. We get a flashback of her with her dad. She asked him why rats. He says,
Rats are the lowliest and most despised of all creatures, my love. If they have purpose, so do we all.
Harley runs, jumps, and stabs Starro in the eye. She ends up inside it, and it's like she's underwater. The rats go in and eat the nerves in the eye. After the rats are finally done trampling everyone, they get up and Starro says through Suarez,
I was happy. Floating, staring at the stars.
and dies. Harley climbs out of the eye and gives a thumbs up. Cut to Bloodsport's daughter at a foster home. She sees them on TV and says, "That's my dad." Soul is also being interviewed. She says it again and gets emotional. Cut to Ratcatcher 2 holding a piece of Polka Dot Man's suit. Bloodsport tells Waller, who's holding an ice pack to her head, about the drive and proposes a deal. He says if she kills any of them, or if his daughter ever goes to prison, then it goes public. If they all go free, then the drive never sees the light of day. Waller says she told him she'd make a leader out of him, and agrees to the deal. He throws the earpiece away. King Shark gets out of the rubble and walks toward them. Ratcatcher 2 runs to him and hugs him. Harley looks upset, and Bloodsport tells her that he knows Rick Flag wanted to get the drive to the press, but they just saved a city. They can't have it all. She says Rick Flag was her friend, and Bloodsport says he was his too, and he doesn't have many of those. Harley says this.
I could be your friend, Milton.
Not my name.
She thinks they had a conversation about how his name was Milton, and they go back and forth for a few seconds. A helicopter picks them up. While they're on the helicopter, Sebastian climbs on Bloodsport's leg. He gets spooked for a few seconds. Sebastian lays down, and Bloodsport finally gives in and pats him. The end card pops up, but we get another scene. We see Weasel lying on the ground, and all of a sudden he coughs up water, wakes up, gets up, and runs away. Credits roll. After the credits, we see a doctor telling two of Waller's people that they pulled someone out of the rubble, and they were shocked his heart was still beating. It'll take some surgery, but eventually they'll get him back up to speed. The camera pans to the bed, and we see Peacemaker. This makes zero sense at all whatsoever. There was blood spewing out of his neck. He would 100% be dead. So 6 characters survive, 7 if you include Sebastian. They're upset that he's alive, and the doctor says she heard he was a hero down there, but John says that wasn't true. She asks what they want him for, and Amelia, who's the blonde one, says,
"Just to save the fucking world, that's all."
And that's the movie. I really liked this movie. I thought it was fun and entertaining. It doesn't have any identity politics in it, which I know doesn't automatically make a movie good, but since there's so much of it in, quote, entertainment, it was nice to see a movie that had none of it and was fun. I can't emphasize that enough. If you really wanted to nitpick, you could see it a little with Harley and Ratcatcher 2, mostly Harley, but I thought for the most part it worked. The story wasn't the greatest, and there wasn't a ton of character development, but the action was pretty good and the jokes landed. All the acting was fantastic. The only one I wasn't a fan of was Blackguard, who was played by Pete Davidson. I think that's more of an issue with me not liking Pete Davidson, because it seems like he did what he was supposed to do. Did it fine. I just didn't like it. The R rating really helped this movie. It needed the swearing for this to work as well as it did. The gore was also great, but it wouldn't make or break the movie in my opinion. The nudity wasn't necessary though. If they were going to have nudity, then they should have really leaned into it. That sex scene with Harley and Luna should have actually been a sex scene. Instead, we got a random dick and some random stripper titty. I wish we got more Peter Capaldi as the Thinker. In the limited screen time he got, he portrayed an interesting mad scientist. I would have liked to see him experimenting on Starro and what exactly he did to him over 30 years. I wish we got that instead of the freedom fighters, the government takeover, and the Harley and Luna stuff. All that could have been cut out, and it wouldn't made much of a difference at all. I'm not sure how they pulled off Starro, but they did. It was really menacing and extremely threatening. I loved how they portrayed it taking over the people, how he speaks through them. His last line does a great job of showing just how much it was tortured and pushed to madness. It never wanted to be there and never wanted to do this. It was happy just minding its own business. It shows just how evil the Thinker actually was. Amanda Waller, played by Viola Davis, was incredible in this. Even better than she was in the first movie, and she was great in that. She was extremely intimidating. The R rating did her wonders. She swears and yells a lot and really makes her even more intimidating than she was in the first one. Not to mention her having the ability to blow people's heads off, which I don't think we ever saw in the first movie. She doesn't give a fuck about anybody, and it shows in her facial expressions. She's straight-faced the whole time, unless she's yelling, and it also shows in her action. I also loved the stuff in The Office and the dynamic between them and the comedy. This may have been the best Margot Robbie has done as Harley Quinn. She was funny and badass. In the scene where she kills Luna, has her big speech about her guy problems. She doesn't come off as a male-hating feminist. She explains what she's been through, and we get a glimpse of her sick, twisted way of thinking. She's really overpowered. Like I said earlier, anytime she found herself in any sort of danger, I knew she'd be fine. She easily kills all of the guards in the palace, no problem. She has amazing fighting skills and deadly aim. I understand overpowering her a little bit to make her more useful, but they do it way too much. That isn't her character. She's supposed to be Joker's girlfriend. She isn't very powerful. I never understood why people liked Rick Flag so much in the first one, but now I understand. He's cool, calm, and collected for most of it, until he realizes that Waller and the government that he works for betrayed his trust. He's a great leader and fights for what he believes in. And I liked how they made Harley and Bloodsport feel like he was a friend. King Shark was hilarious. Sylvester Stallone did a great job voicing and making him a dumb Hulk, essentially. His obsession with eating people was great. They always make it funny when he eats someone. He had the same issue as Harley did, though. He was almost invincible. The only time he got really hurt was from leech things. Every time he might be in danger, I knew he would be fine after a while. I was not expecting to like Polka Dot Man at all in this movie. When I saw him for the first time, I thought, how are they going to make this character work? It's such a dumb concept, but boy was I wrong. His personality was perfect for the character. Antisocial, depressed, dumb, and unintentionally funny. The stuff with his mom is some of the funniest shit in the movie. When his powers came into play, it was funny and it just worked. David Dastmalchian did a terrific job. Regardless of how I feel about John Cena as a person, I thought he did a great job as Peacemaker. I was expecting to not like him since he's not a good actor, but I was wrong. He didn't have to take it seriously. He's at his best when he's in a silly role. I loved his cockiness when he's talking to Bloodsport. When he's trying to get the drive, he does a fantastic job of bringing the intensity to the scene. I loved Ratcatcher 2 in this film. Now I know she's sort of a gender swap, but instead of just making her the original character, they made her the original's daughter, not erasing the original. In fact, she thinks highly of him and loved him. She's really sweet and somewhat innocent. I mean, she did get charged with armed bank robbery, but she wasn't hurting people, I don't think. Danielle Melchior did a fantastic job in this role. I'll talk about the father-daughter dynamic with Bloodsport in a minute, but first I want to touch on Sebastian real quick. He was so cute. I loved how he was trying to get Bloodsport to like him. Also, I don't know how the rat survived the whole movie, but I'm glad he did. Would have been sad if he died. Idris Elba was absolutely incredible as Bloodsport. I was expecting to like him, but I absolutely loved him. His character is extremely similar to Will Smith's Deadshot, even with a daughter, but they have a worse relationship. Will Smith was good in the first one, but Idris Elba was much better. He was forceful and intimidating, while being able to deliver on the emotional moments. It was also funny with the fear of his rats, and his delivery was phenomenal. The father-daughter dynamic between him and Ratcatcher 2 was my favorite thing about the movie. When they're going back and forth on the bus and all of a sudden she's pouring her heart out, telling her backstory, and he opens up, I thought that was fantastic chemistry. I know some people thought they should have or could have cut that scene out, but I loved it and I thought it really added to the characters and the third act in general. I thought their relationship might turn romantic, but I'm glad they didn't do it. because he said she reminded him of his daughter, so that would have been a bit weird. I hope we get to see more of them together in the future in a series, like Peacemaker's getting, or possibly in a sequel, maybe, just throwing that out there. I know this isn't a great movie, but I thought it was really solid. It was fun and entertaining with great action and comedy. James Gunn did a great job differentiating this from the Guardians of the Galaxy movie, while at the same time adding some of that comedy to it. The comedy wasn't overbearing in the emotional moments or overdone like it can be in Guardians of the Galaxy movies. Those movies have better stories, better character development, and overall are better movies. But like I said, this movie differentiates itself from those, and still has great characters as well. Hell, they even made me care about the characters I wasn't even looking forward to seeing, and didn't even know about. Even Milton. James Gunn has really nailed that, and I hope this movie gets a sequel with him directing again, after he does Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. I hope you enjoyed the review. Let me know in the comments below what you thought of the movie. Did you like it? Hate it? Love it? I'd love to hear your opinion. Like the video if you liked it, subscribe if you want to see more, share the video. I have reviews of Black Widow and Loki up on the channel, so check those out. I cover news in the entertainment world as well. I have another channel called The Thoughtful Outlaw Sports, where I cover mainly basketball, baseball, and football, but I also cover anything else sports related that I'm interested in. So check that out, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye!